Um, I'm just going to release this in the field finally, because of how tension works between on the entire electromagnetic spectrum, between one magnet and another magnet. One that's hot, one that's cold. And I was, when I wake up in the morning, there's a lot that I process, what I feel at the deepest emotional level that we can, which is experiencing pure absolute love that makes you want to cry through your heart and your soul, because you realize how blessed you are to even experience that. Yeah. And so sometimes when I'm online and my consciousness is running the math codes that represent the math codes of the system, which are corrupted because there's so many errors, because there's so many broken circuits. So in other words, I know how to build a planetary motherboard, okay? Because all you have to do is scan it, because you're experiencing it. So experience is the teacher, because that's a feedback, okay? So when you're fully integrated, this is what I would say to a gentleman that I had a conversation with online on his channel called RK Secret of Truth. It's one thing to know somebody when you meet them. I mentioned this before, eyes to eyes, the windows of the soul. Yeah. Okay, so you're map reading their template with your holograph through their soul. Spirit to spirit, energy field to energy field, shield to shield. Yeah, because we're all living sacred temples, born out of the same eternal creator from which it all began. So when you're experiencing yourself fully integrated, okay, then you're not experiencing any polarity yet. So you have the matter field, which is the codes represented by the codes in the DNA. So when you're experiencing yourself as the one, then you know that the one is everywhere simultaneously, which means love is everywhere. That's the first field. That's the first consciousness field. That's first creation field, which is what love is. It goes on forever. So when you're experiencing that as non-polarized consciousness, that means that your energy can run anything. Okay? So in other words, this template right here, I've mentioned this in my previous videos. You want to go be a tree for a day? The energy that's we're the engines that keep it all running. Right? Because love is an engine, as in engineer, as in the first engineer, as in the first mathematical engineer of codes. So when you're running God's codes, you're with God. So you're always with the one. So it's like when I was a child, I used to have a lot of conversations in the windows when we use different terminology to explain how we experience being what we are in energy, which is consciousness, right? So when you're mated, twinning, right, and you're experiencing the highest speed, which is gifting electrons to go on forever to build what? Capacitors. The speed at which the accretion levels are going up to fill up batteries. Trying to fill up all the batteries as fast as we can, but you don't want to burn them up, right? Because of what? Resistance, the miasma, the codes. Yeah, so that's like monitoring the levels, like I do with my own, right? Just like I experienced, what was it, a little over a year ago when I was up in Bozeman, Montana, when I went to Yellowstone for about 40 some odd days. Man, I was running hot down in my spine. It was extremely painful, but it was only painful during certain times. Like you could almost set your clock to it, like around 12, 1 o'clock at night. Man, it'd really kick on. And then by about 4:30 and 5, that voltage would cool down. So monitoring the amount of juice, yeah. And so you realize how that works across the entire electromagnetic spectrum, across the entire planetary consciousness field between density and dimension. Yeah, consciousness rising. So what it basically means is it's like, hey, I'm gonna go jump into this reality, and I'm gonna look into my wardrobe. What costume do you want to wear? I think I'm gonna be Flash. No, I'm gonna be Superman. I think I'll be a girl. No, I'm gonna be a boy. What avatar do you want to jump into? right? You want to go be a whale? Then your consciousness energy is running a whale. The DNA codes that represent what we see as the whale in the ocean. Want to be a whale for a couple weeks? Right? You ever seen when sometimes you see the light, now you see the image, and then the light pulled out. The consciousness that is in it, operating the codes, now the consciousness is out of it, not running the codes. How long you want to run that avatar? How long you want to run that equipment? I'm only going to come in here to do a job for 6 months and then I'm gone. Well, what vehicle are you going to run? I think I'll be a tree for a day. And you can hang out with that tree. Right? Wow, you're beautiful to be with. Yeah, and so when you're experiencing the center point from which it all began, which means you're in love with all creation, you're with the one. The first one. The first cell. The first cell phone. The first volcano. The first biovoltage line of communication. Yeah. The first speakerphone. So I have fun with it sometimes because I call it clearing away the cobwebs and what it means to be fully awake. I do know what it means to be fully awake. It means all of your I use it. You're running full capacity. Your sensory input, input, output, the intake side. Hey, I'm receiving something. It's just like you're a post office. I just received some mail. Now you have what's called a reaction state. How are you going to react to the information or the message? Chemical messengers, right? Neurons. Yeah, so now we're in reaction states between the poles, polarities. So when the polarities are perfectly balanced and you're fully integrated, so your consciousness is in the non-polarized state, which is a neutral zone, which is a safe zone. Because nothing's happened yet. So it's like pre-phase. I'm not experiencing anything yet. Now I am. What does it feel like? Ooh, my sensors are feeling. That feels good. Yeah. I love to feel that. Because you're experiencing what love is in the matter field. Running the codes. Running the mathematics. So you're map reading the mathematics. The torque speed differential in the mathematics. So that's how you know anything that's breaking your circuits. Man, they don't know how to build circuit boards, do they? They're breaking all over the place. And those are known as error codes. Like the error code. When you go down to AutoZone and you get a check engine light on your dash. Yeah, your dashboard. Hey, something's wrong with this computer. The AI is giving me an idiot light, letting me know something's wrong. Okay, well, scan the codes. So AutoZone put in a scanner, plug it in, and go, hey, I just got a few numbers and letters here. They're telling me the codes, the error codes. Okay, so what's wrong with it? How much is it going to cost me? In electrons, that's a feeding system. That's an energy harvesting system. Because now in order for you to fix it, unless it's on warranty, but see, all this stuff was already created as artifacts brought into the reality field, and now in order to run their system requires juice from us. That's why it's sort of silly to say, why am I paying for my own energy when I already gave that energy away before it did? Oh, I see how that works. So you're the source from which it all began. But in order to run that system, it needs your energy to run it. Precisely. That's why they ought to be given all the pure. I'm not going to go there. I'm fully integrated, so I don't want to get into that issue because I'm very hypersensitive when it comes to negative and positive polarity that are joined as one. And what I covered yesterday, but through what I've experienced, because what I've experienced is what I learned through what I experienced, and then I just share it with others. What that experience means to somebody else, I got no idea what their reaction state's going to be. Yeah, and that is the beauty and the eternal blessing and gift of being fully integrated. Yeah, because now there isn't any how would I put this? Power trips. You're not competing over power. Your mind is not inverted, or your perception of power is through the accumulation of energy from others as an attachment. So when you're a free spirit, born free, spirit that is in the energy, and you're experiencing what eternal unconditional love is, on fire, you do not need any energy from anybody else. You are giving our energy away. Accelerators, accelerating the use of electrons. Those accelerators, the engine of creation, is accelerating electrons at the highest rate of speed in order to create a universe. So we are the source from which it all began. That's an eternal blessing to be fully integrated, because you don't ever want to experience anything less than what love is, which is what we are. And that allows us to come in and do the job that we have to do without being interfered with by artificial intelligence, because it runs at a slower rate of speed. That's the truth of it. So they can't track God. Okay. Okay. Because they run slow at a slower rate of speed. Where is God now? I know, you can't make it up, huh, Karen? Have a beautiful day. Be good to yourselves. We love you all.